Greetings. This is Unit 6, Module 2, Session 4. The name of this home connection is Perimeter and Area. It's 2 pages. Start with your name and number. So Josie is putting a fence around her rectangular yard. So let's just go ahead and draw our fence. We said it was a rectangle, so I'm going to make 2 of the dimensions longer, 2 of the dimensions shorter. One dimension measures 24 feet. So maybe this side here. And the other dimension is twice as long. Okay, so this is a little warm-up activity, and I'm going to let you do a majority of this on your own. It says one dimension is 24 feet, okay, which means the opposite side also has to be 24 feet. But it said the other dimension, okay, the longer side, is twice as long. So why don't you double this number, put it on our longer dimensions, and then find the perimeter by adding up all the sides. Don't forget your units are feet. Now here's going to be one of our challenges. If Josie puts a grass in her yard, how many square feet of grass should she buy? And they give you a lot of area here to work with, but what I want you to think of is if you want to figure out the area, which is square feet, that's length times width. So whatever you find to be here is going to be your all the information you need to find your area. So we said to double 24. I guess I can set this up for you just in case you have questions. We said if this is 24, this has to be twice as long, which means it is 48. Length times width is area, to figure out how many tiny squares we would need to be able to plant grass. So we are going to take 48, times 24 to find our area. And you could do it several different ways, but you could do the traditional standard algorithm for multiplication, and you could stack and multiply. I'm kind of looking at this maybe a little differently today because I see an opportunity here to maybe do some halving and doubling. Because if I cut 24 in half, I'd get 12, but then you have to double this. 40 plus 40 is 80. 8 plus 8 is 16. 80 plus 16 is 96. And you're like, well, that doesn't help me too much. Well, what if I do it one more time? Cut this in half. I get a 6. Double this. And you could even do the doubling on the side if you wanted to do 96 plus 96 to figure it out, right? 6 plus 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19. Now I have 192 times 6. Now, why would I go to that kind of work here? Why am I doing half of one number and doubling the other number? Why did I decide to stop here? Well, here I have 2-digit and 2-digit multiplication. The standard algorithm can be kind of challenging. Here I have it again, just with two different 2-digit numbers. But then by cutting that 12 in half and doubling the 96, I now have one number that's a single digit. And when you do 192 times 6, it's going to be a lot easier, a chance that you will make fewer mistakes if you end up with a single digit down there. Now, we could have done the area model, right, and tried to figure this out as well. We could have done a ratio table, would have been kind of challenging. We could have done grouping, right? So there's a few different ways we could solve this equation, but I'm going to let you choose your favorite. So make sure you pause this video and figure that out, okay? Sean, oh, and then don't forget, square feet. That's going to be the unit on that problem. Anytime you do area, it's square units. Sean measured his rectangular patio. Oh my goodness, we better draw this rectangular patio. I bet there's some really nice chairs and an umbrella on it. He determined the area was 216 square feet. What is area? Length times width. He remembered that one dimension was 9 feet. So let's say that this dimension's 9 feet. So what we could do here is say that 9 times W, because we don't know this one, we'll say that's the width. It doesn't matter. We just need to know that we don't know it. 216. How did I get that number? It says the area was 216. We know length times width is area. So all I did was take this formula, this equation, and I put in the numbers that I knew. I know I have a 9 for one of the dimensions. I know that I still don't know this side because they didn't say it anywhere up here. And we know the answer is 216 square feet because area is always in square units. So I just took the area and I put in the answer. So I got to figure out 9 times W equals 216. Now, a couple different ways you could do that, because we could switch this around and say 216 divided by 9 equals our width. Okay, and if we just divide it, we'll get the answer. We could also say what times 9 is 216. We could leave it like that, maybe even set up a ratio table, but I actually kind of want to do the area model, and I wish I would have made this bigger, so I'm just going to redraw it real quick. So there's our 9. We're going to have to figure out how long this needs to be to get to 216. Okay. Well, if I did, let's say, a 10. Okay. 9 times 10 is 90. Am I at 216 yet? No. What if I do another 10? 9 times 10, 90 again. If I combine these two numbers, I'm up to 180. Okay. Now, I'm going to not do 10 again, only because I know that if I do 90, 90, and 90, I'm going to have 270. That's too big. Okay? Now, I can also think to myself, well, half of 90, so that would be like 9 times 5 is 45. What would 45 give me? So let's do 180 plus 45, 0 plus 5, 8 plus 4, would be 225. So let's do that. I know that's going to seem weird right now, but let's go do it anyways. 5 times 9 is 45. And then if I expand this, so let's go all the way across. Okay, now I'm up to 225. Look at these two numbers. I'm close, but I went over too much. So right now I have 9 times 10, 9 times 10, 9 times 5. If I do add all that together, so far I have 9 times 25. Okay, but I'm too big. How much over am I? Okay, if I was on a number line and let's say that I'm trying to get to 216, I'm counting by 9s, but I ended up at 225. Isn't that 9 too big? So I shouldn't have taken 9 times 5. I should have taken 9 times 4 instead. Get rid of this. And so I should have done 36 here. That would have been perfect. Now I would be at 216, which is the answer. Okay? So how many 9s do I need to get to 216? 10, 10, and 4. So the answer here, 9 times 24, is 216. So my W is 24. Okay? So this is, what is the other dimension? We just said 24 feet. And then I'm going to let you figure out what the perimeter is, the distance around this patio, if we know the dimensions are 9 and 24. Raphael and his sister each drew a rectangle on their driveway. The dimensions of Raphael's rectangle are 16 and 24. So probably doing some chalk drawing on the driveway. And Raphael drew one that was 16 by 24. But his sister, so we'll say this is Raphael's, I'll put an R in there. And then his sister's rectangle is 18 and 22. It says whose rectangle has a larger area. And we know area is length times width. So I'm going to be comparing 16 times 24, and I'm going to be comparing 18 times 22. And I'm going to write all over this page. Use your paper. I mean, that's what that paper's for, right? So you can put all your thoughts down. And I know that you could do the standard algorithm, and maybe we will. But I'd like you to just watch why maybe there are some other ways that are fine. 24 times 16. Okay, I'm going to stack it and multiply. We know that job 1 is to take 6 times 4 and then 6 times 2. So let's do that. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry the 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Add those 2 to 12 and you get 14. Okay, so that's done. Okay, I can move on to the next row. Start with the 0. Now focus on the 1. 1 times 4. 1 times 2. And then I add down. 4 added down. 4 added to 4. 1 added to 2. I get 388. That's not terrible. We only had to carry once. But what if I did my halving and doubling? Cut 16 in half, you get 8. Double 24, you get 48. Look at that. I have a single digit right there. So if I take 48 times 8, look at this. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 8 times 4, 8, 60, 24, 32. So 8 times 4 is 32. Add 6. Look, 384, 384. So sometimes just looking at those numbers could help a lot. Okay? And yeah, you could round numbers up. You could group. We could take 22 times 10, 22 times 8. All of that works. Use whatever works for you. But once again, half of 18 is 9. Double the 22, you get 44. Halving and doubling gives you a problem that might not be too difficult to solve. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to finish this problem. So you need to know his sister's, I don't know why she doesn't have a name in our story, but that's just the way it is. S is for sister. So we know the area of this is 384 square, inches. Okay? And then I'm going to let you finish this 18 times 22 to figure out this area. The first question says, who has the larger area? By how much you're going to subtract. And then you're going to go back and then figure out the perimeter. And the perimeter you could do now because you know the length and the width, right? Adding up all the sides. Okay? Pause this video. Go through those 3 questions. Make sure you read and answer with the correct units. Daria and Luis both drew rectangles. Oh, okay. So here I need 2 rectangles. So we'll say Darius and Luis. Okay? Oh, wait. Daria. Daria? Ooh, I'm going to have to... I haven't seen that name before. We'll say Daria. Has an area of 180 inches, and one of the dimensions is 12. Okay? And then we've got this... maybe call that the length. Why not? Luis's rectangle has a perimeter of 48 inches with one dimension of 13. Okay, so we're doing perimeter of one, area of the other. Woo, that's going to be fun. So let me walk you through what I'm thinking here. We know that Daria's rectangle has an area of, let's say, 180. So that should say square inches, in case you're wondering. I don't like that it doesn't say that. That's okay. So we're going to say 12 times L, we don't know this one, is 180. So you're going to have to figure out how many 12s fit in 180. And you could divide, use a ratio table. I'm going to let you decide. But remember, 10 times 12 is 120, so it's going to be bigger than 10. Okay? And then after you figure out what the length is, they want to know the perimeter. So you'll add up all the sides. Okay? Now down to Luis's rectangle, we know the opposite side has to be the same. So that's 13 plus 13. We want to figure out the area, but they told us the perimeter is 48 inches. So if I take 48 and I subtract 13, and then I subtract the other 13, I'll have what's left of the perimeter. And whatever this answer is right here, I need to split it in half so that I can give an equal amount to each length. Okay? And then to figure out the area, you'll multiply the length times, or the width times the length. Okay? That's a lot of steps, and I know I'm not setting you up with lots of answers, but we at least have the equations, okay? Figure out your length here so that you can add up all the sides to get the perimeter, because that's what they want. We know the perimeter of this one is 48, so if we subtract the two sides that we know, okay, that answer we can split in half to figure out the other dimension. Multiply them to get the area. Make sure you answer in square inches, please. Okay? Woo! I know that we're seeing a lot of the same things here, but the practice is so important. Being able to solve a problem missing little tidbits of information is so good for your working knowledge of these formulas. Okay? If you have questions, make sure you ask the teacher. Check you out later.